FT Spring Training Tour. Don't cry. Last day in Arizona. Kip's dancing, Kratz is dancing. That's it. Then we're moving to Florida. Kip, it just felt so short with you. So let's cherish these next couple hours, okay?
If we must.
You're not short.
What, Erik?
You're in Giants camp. You're a giant
it felt
today.
Short. It felt short. He did not say I was short.
Ooh. No, it's going to be like that.
This how you
today.
want to start the show, Erik? This how we want to start the show?
Let me get a sponsor in the way to break this up for now. So the Spring Training Tour is engineered by Fastenal. We love them dearly. And they also help us to lay out a calendar. We're organized. Check out more info at fastenal.com. And we love their vending machines, among other things. So we knocked out a couple weeks just now in Arizona by the time we get done today with Giants camp. And we're excited to talk to their manager, Tony Vitello. We're expecting Logan Webb. We're expecting Ron Washington. It's going to be a fun day. And also, I would just like to point out that I am wearing the Splash It Territory shirt today. Here it is. I made the mistake yesterday of wearing Snakes Territory over the weekend and then just didn't have it in time. So sorry, D-backs fans, but today I actually did get to model the Splash It shirt, and I love it. It's really fun, and it's a very soft shirt.
How many push-ups did you do before showing that, right before we went on air?
Dude, I am gassed. Hundreds to try and get myself swole for my one big moment on the show. Yeah. I'm mostly going to stay out of the way the rest of the way. Oh, me?
This whole thing? Oh.
Good call out. Oh, I also want to remind everyone about this, then we'll get to Ken. The show is changing times. Next week, we do this every year. We're doing it again. FT is live 11 a.m. Eastern time starting on Monday. You can still catch the show later, do whatever you want to do. Obviously, it just won't be live. So 11 a.m., we are live for the next few weeks when we're running through Florida because their games start at 1 and we want to get as many players as possible. Now let's get to Ken. It's the Inside Scoop, and it's engineered by Fastenal, where industry meets innovation. It's FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal with us right now. Ken, I want to start with your article on Konnor Griffin, the super prospect, the top prospect in baseball, and we can get into him as a player, but first I want to go the spicy route. You mentioned how the Pirates maybe mishandled their situation with Paul Skeens. Can you get into that? Does it have as much to do with when to call the player up versus also making sure as a small market team that you take advantage of potentially getting a draft pick with someone like Konnor Griffin too, right?
Yes, and I actually wouldn't say the Pirates mishandled the Skeens situation. It was understandable at the time. He didn't have much minor league experience at all. They wanted to polish off his development. Obviously, in retrospect, it looks like he was ready to pitch in the major leagues, I don't know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, even before he was in the major leagues. But what happened was they didn't call him up until May 11th. So they didn't get the chance to receive a draft pick at the end when he won Rookie of the Year because he was called up too late. Under that prospect promotion incentive program, the guy has to be in the big leagues within the first 2 weeks of the season and then spend the entire season in the majors. That didn't happen with Skeens. And then at the end, and I wrote about this at the time, they didn't shut him down. They didn't try to prevent him from winning Rookie of the Year because at the end of this, they got kind of nailed another way. Once he won that award, he gained a full year of service time under another provision in the CBA. So he gets the full year of service time, which of course costs the Pirates a year of Paul Skeens, and he doesn't get them a draft pick. So how does this apply to Konnor Griffin? As Ben Cherington, their general manager, told me, 2 different players, 2 different people. Griffin is a high school kid. Skeens, of course, pitched 3 years in college. It's much different. But at the same time, Konnor Griffin is a kid that looks like, I know it's early in spring training, but this goes back to last season as well when he was in the minors going through 3 levels. He looks like the kind of teenage prospect that can make an impact in the major leagues right away. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but everything you hear about him, everything we've seen so far indicates that. And the other element with the Pirates is if he's not the shortstop, then who is? It's probably Nick Gonzalez or Jared Triolo. These are unproven players in their own right. So if the Pirates truly believe they have a unicorn here, another unicorn, a second unicorn, maybe it will behoove them to open the season with Griffin as their shortstop.
I do want to get ahead of myself, and I want to see him in the big leagues. But what do you feel, or what did you hear from Ben Cherington as the stumbling block for him to get to the big leagues? Because when it used to be playoff service time manipulation, Chris Bryant had a few errors in the minor leagues, so we need to keep him down. That's what all these rules that Ken just brought out are not in the way. But what is Ben Cherington saying? The organization, he's just young? Well, everybody's younger than somebody.
The concern is that he is 19, turning 20, I believe, in May, and that he's young, and that you want to protect him. You want to give him the full chance to develop into the player you expect him to be. Erik, it's a legitimate concern. Kid's 19 years old. He hasn't experienced much. He's 2 years out of high school. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. But at the same time, in the minor leagues right now, development is different than it was in the past. They play 6-game series in one city. They don't travel like they do in the major leagues. They have a day off on Monday. Most players get another scheduled day off, so they're not necessarily ready for the rigors of the major leagues, even if you leave them down there. It's a different world. So from that perspective, it seems to me that when you're in the Pirates' position, when you have a player who may, I said may, transform your franchise like Skeens did, you take that shot. And there's no guarantee of success. Mike Trout came up to the major leagues, I believe, at 20, sent back to the minors, and of course, then became one of the great players of this generation. You never know what's going to happen. No one knows for sure, but everything you hear about this player from teammates and opponents alike, not only is he incredibly gifted physically, he's big, he looks like a young Cal Ripken, but he has a good head on his shoulders, great instincts for the game. It seems like he's the kind of person, and Tony Beasley, the Pirates' new third base coach, mentioned this to me in the article, seems like the kind of kid who can withstand whatever's going to come his way.
And Ken, that's where I want to finish on this topic. When you say he's got a good head on his shoulders, and you can point to some superstars thriving from the jump and others like Mike Trout needing a nice little pop back down, and then he comes up and he's a superstar. I don't really see any world where they don't have him on the opening day roster. His upside from day one is so significant and so much higher than anything else that they'd put out there. And this does feel like, and this is where I'll relate the question, a make or break it year for the Pirates, for Ben Cherington. So percentage chance in your mind that he does start on the opening day roster as long as he's healthy. I don't even really care about much of the spring results because there can be some batted ball luck and all of that. I've got enough for me to say, let's see what it looks like. If in a few weeks he's, 3 for 30, whatever, then you can always send him down and bring him back up. So what do you think?
Scott, I'm with you. Percentage chance would be hard to assess. I would say 75%, and that's just an estimate. It's a guess. It's not coming with any knowledge of what they're thinking. It just seems to me that there's a ton of momentum for this. And as you said, when you step back as the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it is something of a make or break year. Every year with Skeens is going to be a make or break year because you're not going to have him forever. So yes, they have to push forward now, and they have done some things this offseason which were quite encouraging as far as getting back to be a competitive team. I'm talking about the trade for Brandon Lau and Jake Mangum. I'm talking, of course, about the signings of Ryan O'Hearn and Marcell Ozuna. You're doing that, you're trying to win. In the past, the Pirates weren't necessarily trying to win. So if you're trying to win, you have to assess the whole picture. Who gives us the best chance to possibly make the playoffs, be a dark horse team in that regard? And if we did this with Konnor Griffin, if it goes badly, what's the end result? What is the worst case scenario? And the worst case scenario is just what you mentioned, Scott. You send him back to the minors, and at some point, he'll be ready to go.
Ken.
Hey, we're going to jump out of Ken because we have a great guest about to join us. So fair territory with Ken on Monday. We might get back to some Ken stuff a little bit later on, but let's get back to Kip, who is now stationed with our next guest, Matt Chapman, joining us right now. Matt, we really appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us. How's camp? And also, I'm going to kind of enter the conversation this way because you've been with this team back when, there wasn't as much success and there weren't as many guys like like Adames and other big names, Devers that came through. Is it more fun like this version of the Giants? You've got some of these star names. Tony Vitello pops in. Like there's got to be a little more flavor to camp, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's obviously it's more fun to win. It's more fun to
Oh wait, hold on.
bring guys in like this.
Not hearing that.
It makes you.
Hold up, Matt. There we go.
When you were talking to, well, you just said I'm not sure if we can hear you. Can we just do an audio check to see if we can hear you still? Okay, you got me. Right now, we don't have you, so I'll try to keep going. We heard you for a little bit, but we don't have you now. But either way, you can hear the.
Yeah, hold up, Kratz. Let me jump in here. Sorry, Matt. We had you live here. We're gonna try to get Matt going there. Yeah, they said after the first few words muted. All right, we're gonna try to get Matt going there on an answer. So Kratz and me here, we're working with some wonky times here over at Giants camp. So let's see. I hear him, but let's see if the YouTube
You guys
world
missed
can
the
hear him
best
as
answer
well.
too. We can't even recreate that.
I'm sure we did, but
we heard most of the answer.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
We had great lip readers. We hear him, so we're trying to figure out if the rest of the world hears. Hopefully the team can tell us.
I could try to run it back.
For this one. Yeah. I'm trying to find out. Nope. Still no. Oh, you do hear him? Okay, cool. All right. Sorry, Matt.
All right, we're ready to go?
Yes. All right. We are officially ready to go. Let's do this.
Okay.
Apologies, Matt.
Live in action.
Live in action. This is live TV for you.
This is live TV. This is part of it.
Yes, this is part of it. So thanks for bearing with us. I'm going to try and re-rack this question so everyone can hear it. So, and I'll give it a little bit of a different spin so that a lot of things have happened over the last few years. You're signed up here long term. Can you tell me how exciting it is to have a lot of the new guys that were brought in, a manager with a lot of spice, and you had Buster Posey part of your recruiting process to keep you here. So can you tie all of that together for us?
Yeah, sure. So it's going back to 2024, my first season with the Giants. Love the organization. I really enjoyed playing here, and I know that. I had talks with Buster. He wanted me to stay here. The front office wanted me to stay here. And Buster pretty much just laid it out for me that they want to compete. They want to win the division. They want to compete for a World Series. So, that doesn't just, start and stop with me. That, it started, obviously they had Webby and some guys here as well, but trading for Robbie Ray, signing me, signing Willie Adames, trading for Rafi Devers. So you can kind of see it building. You can kind of see the foundation they're building. Then we go and get Bader and Arias. So on the position player front, we have a ton of guys with experience now.
All right, we're jumping out of there. Apologies, everyone. I don't know what the heck's going on. So it is what it is. We've been running around camp. Everything's good. They said, Kratz, let me see if we can hear you. Yeah, you're fine.
I mean, we were hearing, it was a good conversation. And he brought up something I wanted to really conversate about the whole Posey doing the recruiting part, and definitely because it's a unique situation. Where Buster kind of stepped in and kind of gave him the future outlook And rarely do you have a great season like that, and a guy's like, "Oh, sure, I'll stay," but it's it was
Go for it.
mutual. That's Chappie. You hear me now?
Yep, I can hear all of you.
Good.
Okay.
So what I was going to ask you, and YouTube could hear, was about how Buster stepped in when he still wasn't the GM. Some people don't understand he wasn't quite the GM. He was working with the front office. Was that encouraging to you? Was that confusing to you? But it ultimately, like you said, kind of got the contract across the finish line, right?
100%. No, it was definitely something I hadn't experienced before, but I knew I wanted to be with the Giants. I was coming off a big year in 24. Could I have gone to free agency? Yeah, and tested it. And, who knows what would have happened. But I know where I wanted to be. And talking with Buster, we were already in talks with the Giants trying to work out an extension. So it didn't come out of nowhere. Scott and Farhan had been working on a deal for a while. But sometimes those things don't always, work on the timeline that you want it to. And I actually was talking with Buster, and I went over to his house, and we were talking about the future of the Giants more than anything, and kind of his vision and where he saw this team going in the next few years. And then we kind of brushed over the contract thing at the end, and it kind of, I think it just kind of sped the process up, and it got kind of all four of us together and on the same page, and then we hammered it out. So it was really cool to be able to feel like I got to take part in that. And I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think Buster wanted to win. And you see now all the moves they've made and what we've done to put ourselves in a position to win. And, I'm still a firm believer that this is just kind of the beginning of, something really great with the Giants. So, those are the main reasons why, I signed up.
Now, going off those moves, because we talked a little bit off air before you got on about some of the veteran guys that we brought in. But I want to talk about one of the veteran guys, Ron Wash. How sore are your hamstrings and back from the morning ground balls you got to do every single morning?
Yeah,
What can you tell us about him?
We are sore. We are sore. There's no shortage of grounders, but the thing I love about Wash is I had him in Oakland. Which is crazy. Like
so
11,
you knew what was coming.
Yeah, like 11 spring trainings ago. My first big league camp was with the A's in 2016, and Wash was doing infield work. My time slot's a little later than it used to be then. I don't have to go meet him out at 6:45 in the morning to do grounders. But the thing about Wash is, regardless of the health issues or how long he's been in the game, the passion is still there. When you're with him, you work. He pushes you. He wants to get you better, and I think everybody can appreciate how genuine he is, and it's cool to see that somebody that's been in the game as long as him, he really cares and how much passion he has. And it's like, this dude shows up every morning and he's getting after it.
It's not fake, and you're getting the same guy every single morning.
100%.
I got to play with him in Atlanta, at least for spring training. So I got my last year in 21. So I got to be very, very familiar with the ground ball routine.
Yeah.
Back in hamstrings, we're not aware of what the wash time routine would be. We were saying off the air, if you want to sign some more free agents, just start a swear jar by Wash.
Yeah,
that'll help pay for a bunch of the free agents.
Yeah, 100%.
What can you tell us, though? We were talking again. Let's go back to some of these signings and new guys that you guys have brought in. Who are you most excited about to team up with this year or get a full season of? And what can you tell us about what you guys are looking for to accomplish this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick one player, probably. Sure. I think the biggest thing that I would like to see is, all the Devers drama, behind all that. That was kind of a weird situation, but for Rafi, he came in from day one and was amazing, unreal teammate, great person, works really hard. So I know he started slow with us. There was a lot going on, a lot of a transition period, but the thing I'm most excited for is probably just to see him a full season and just see, he's, when he's him, he's a catalyst for any team, and he carries the offense. So, we fully expect to help him out and, not put, the load on his shoulders, but I'm excited to see what he can do for us in the middle of our lineup every single day, and just makes us so much better. And I mean, our goals is to win the division. It doesn't matter who's in your division. We're going to accept the challenge no matter who we play, and we want to win the division and we want to win a World Series. So it doesn't matter, if the Dodgers are in our division, we have a tough division, Padres, everybody. I mean, D-backs are great too. So we welcome the challenge. We expect to win every day we take the field. Doesn't matter who we play. So that's our mindset, and I'm just excited to go out there and do it.
So I was kind of hoping that should be the motto of every year, that fresh start. We want to go as far as this team can go. You're not scared of anybody. You don't back down from anybody. You've been doing this a long enough time. You said this is your 10th year?
Yeah, 10th.
First off,
10th,
congratulations
starts
on
at
that.
10th seasons, 9th full season.
And I think with the hand inflammation, some other stuff, you played your least amount of games this last season at 128 or so.
Yeah,
people don't know that sometimes that's the most games people play in a season. So you have been one of the more reliable guys. How do you take care of your body? What is it about your routine that allows you to play so many games every year?
For sure. It's definitely a grind,
Yeah.
Getting yourself ready every day. There's, how it goes. You're on the road, or, quick turnarounds, or maybe you had a big night the night before. Who knows, man? But, or you got stuff going on at home. People have lives too. So there's a lot.
Second kid on the way?
Yep. Second kid on the way. So super excited. But it's, it takes a lot to be able to toe it up every day and get yourself ready. But luckily over the years, I've kind of built a good routine of, where it's like, if you have time and you have a big day and you have energy and you feel good, I have one that is a longer routine or a workout and stuff. But then on the days that you're not, you might just want to save your energy more for the game. I have a short little routine, whatever I can do to get my body right. I had an injury in 2020. I ended up having hip surgery. And I think that was kind of something that kind of made me start taking care of my body better and realizing that luckily I didn't miss any time because I got it all done in the off season, but that kind of put my attention to, hey man, no, even if you're tired, whatever it is, it's like, I have my checkpoint. I get my arm ready to throw. I get my hips and back, legs ready to run and do stuff. And then my core ready to swing. So it's like having those little check marks to go out there and play every single day. And unfortunately, knock on wood, but the only injuries I've had have been kind of freak ones where last year I dove back into the bag and tore those ligaments.
Can't do anything about those.
No, and that sucked because we were starting to roll. I was playing really well, and it just sucks having to watch the guys play when you want to help.
At what age did you kind of switch? Because you always heard about maybe around the age of 30, you start switching from maybe more weight training to stretching.
Yeah.
Have you made that switch?
Probably, I would say probably in 2024 was
right around 30.
Was right. Yep. 30 is 31. And
you're like, I'm as strong as I need to be. I know how strong I need to be to play this game. I need to be loose and
100%. You focus more on, maybe some speed stuff, and then getting more mobile, because that was when I realized was maybe I'm more tired towards the end of the year because I'm lifting too much and working out hard. You find that balance of you want to maintain and stay strong, but also, we want to play late into October and you want to stay fresh.
My man. Well, we thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. We won't keep you too long, so keep some of that injury.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys heard me live TV. You never know.
This is what we work with, though.
We did. It was great. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. And let's have a look at the Saturday schedule and some spring training games that you might want to hit up and use Territory 10 for 10% off tickets on SeatGeek. Kratz, where are you looking?
I mean, this is easy for me. Two guys that could be in the Cy Young conversation came off injury-plagued years in Spencer Strider and Kyle Bradish. Bradish coming back from Tommy John. It's in Sarasota. Get some sun, get some tickets.
Kip, where are you going?
I'm going Phillies and Blue Jays. I'm going to go Christopher Sanchez with a tune-up game before the WBC versus Dylan Cease in the new uniform.
Beautiful. And, of course, we've got the code for you guys. You can use code Territory10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with the promo code Territory10. Also, WBC games starting in the U.S. on Friday, March 6th. Some of those games are a super hot ticket. SeatGeek can help you out as each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10. So you know if you're getting a sick deal with those green dots or a mad deal with the red dots. Keep an eye on that. Thank you to SeatGeek. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
We've got some good ones today. Yeah, a number of That's What He Said clips that we're going to throw your way from the FT Network. Yes, Kratz is shaking his head. We've had some good guests on this week, and we want to make sure we highlight that and react to some of the comments. So let's start with Joe Musgrove. We can't get to every camp in Arizona, so Friar Territory is handling some interviews. They spoke to Musgrove, who's looking to put together a full healthy season here for the Padres, and they sure need him. Here's what he said.
Did you try to put more pressure on yourself to come back because of what other guys in your rotation were going through?
Not so much for that reason. I mean, maybe a little bit of it. Maybe like subconsciously, I felt like that was part of my job, was to, step up and fill that role. And I think a lot of people were kind of counting on me. And it's hard because, I guess back to your last question, one of the hardest things is having people constantly ask you, how you feeling? Are you going to be back? Are you going to be ready? And trying to answer that honestly, it was very hard, because if I was honest, I would be like, hell no, I feel like shit, but maybe I won't feel like shit in a week. Maybe I'll feel better in a month. But just kind of lying to people and be like, yeah, I feel good. I'm in a good spot. Stuff's coming out. And my bullpens were good, but it was the recovery. Like, I wasn't bouncing back from those feeling very good. So trying to be honest with people was very difficult. But yeah, towards the end of the stretch, it was more of a personal thing that was, eating at me. It's like I'd set this goal out and I'd worked so hard and I'd gotten so close. And then that last month, I kind of took a left turn and wasn't feeling as good. And I felt like all these plans that I had and like this high spirit of like, I'm going to have a chance to pitch, were starting to dwindle away. So I think it was more like the selfishness of wanting to get in there and wanting to be a part of it that was the more of the contributing factor to me pushing.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. I love the honesty, because how many dudes did we see come back last year in the postseason? Not just for the Padres. I'm talking about around the league. And it's like, you have to be honest with yourself, because 80% of Joe Musgrove might have been enough for the Padres to say, okay, we don't have a better option. But in his mind, he wasn't probably even at that point. So I love the honesty.
Yeah, and we've got a lot more of that. And, somebody in a somewhat similar spot here in Brandon Woodruff, who was on Brewer territory. We didn't get to Big Woo. We got to many others over at Brewers camp. But Big Woo is also trying to put together a full healthy season. And again, this is another team that's going to be like, hey, dude, I know you've missed a lot of time in the past, but when you were pitching last year, you looked really damn good. And then, of course, we got to the playoffs and, he couldn't be a part of the mix. So Brewer territory talked to Big Woo about a big upcoming season.
This year, after trading Freddie, and I'm kind of the last one standing, and it's been a fun process for me, to be honest. And I've never been a huge vocal guy, but I try to lead by example and try to be the best and most consistent guy in terms of preparation and just doing the things daily to get my body ready to go play catch or whatever it is, and try to set those standards in that way. But it's been fun to talk to these guys and help them, and because I've gone through the experiences now that Quinn and Chad and Miz went through, coming out of the bullpen in the playoffs, pitching in big moments, pitching in big spots, and doing well, and drawing from those experiences. Just like in 18, that basically springboarded me into where I'm at now, and the pitcher that I am. And so I try to not talk about, when I come back to the metrics, I try not to talk about any of that stuff. I try to just talk about more of the mental side of the game with these guys, and how to, go about pre-pitch routine or whatever it is, or type of situations that you get into on the field.
Yeah. I mean, that's that's the role. One, they're paying him a lot of money in Brewers land, but that's the role that Big Woo, I even kind of saw, because I saw the maturation process in 18 from he had gotten a call up in 17, then he was kind of up and down in 18 to the point where he was coming out of the bullpen and giving us big innings. So I have a hard time thinking, while he was talking there, listening to what he said, about something Big Woo hasn't been through in his career. Struggles, getting sent down, moved to the bullpen, having a massive role in the starting rotation, to being a Cy Young type of pitcher, to injury, to recovering. So it's like he's just a great sounding board for so many pitchers in that organization.
Good to see you, sir.
All right,
Yes, sir.
we're going to get to another pitcher while Ron Washington is getting set up out there at Giants camp. Jared Weaver, the former Angels starter, on Halo territory.
I came in young. I came in a little, cocky. I started 9-0 or something to start my career. But those guys would put me in my place when I wasn't doing something right. You talk about, going in the food line too early or getting in the training room too early and not giving these veteran guys that have been around the time to get their bodies ready. Because 38 years old, it might take you a little longer than a 23-year-old to get ready. So you gotta get your ass out of the training room and get in there when no one's in there. But Lackey took me under my wing and really grinding me on working hard, the conditioning side of things, the weight side of things, when to kind of push it, when to back off. It's a long season, and I try to instill what kind of Lackey told me into you guys coming up. And, I might have rubbed some guys the wrong way and some guys probably didn't understand me. But if you did, I would hope that, you kind of flourish from it. And, I just love being in the clubhouse and competing and being with you guys. And maybe my mindset kind of got a little bit out of control with trying to put you guys in the right direction. But that was just the way my mentality was, and kind of learned from those guys. But yeah, towards the end of my career, with the Padres, it was not like that anymore. And I had to kind of back off and kind of cater to these guys, which was, it was hard for me to do. And, there wasn't any dinners going out, with 10 to 12 guys, or everybody was going to their hotel rooms and playing video games and not hanging out in the hotel bar to talk about the game afterwards, or, things like that. So it was not only my career was dying, but the passion for coming to the field every day and trying to work hard for those guys kind of went out the window too. So it's a totally different game.
It is a different game, and you hear this from guys because their interaction or their experiences when they first got called up, you heard about the dudes that were giving him a hard time, but he also looks at it as teaching, as he was being taught, because he was cocky. The biggest thing I always said towards the end of my career, the players hadn't changed. When you're 22 years old and you get called up to the big leagues, you think and you know that you are the best. And you look at these guys and they're like, oh, this guy's 30. Jeez, what is he? He's a walking fossil. But the reality is you got to be able to connect with all those guys, because ultimately it doesn't matter if you're 38 or 18. When you come into a big league clubhouse, it's about trying to win. And what Weave was saying was awesome, because he was being honest that maybe, there is a lost sense of competing and wanting to be out there to get better every single day. And it can get lost when you're making fun of rookies, but it's also to not put them in their place, but to help them be the next steward of this game. And so, Weave is a guy. He is definitely a guy for me.
Oh, we've got a guy waiting for us now, ready to go in Giants camp. Kip, you want to bring him in?
We got the infield coach, Ron Washington, the legendary man himself, joining us right now here in Scottsdale Stadium. Thank you for joining us today, buddy.
I thank you guys for having me on.
It's so great to see you, Wash. Really appreciate the time, as always. So what do you got for us? I mean, what's this team like? Tell us. I mean, there's a lot of uniqueness here with some of the personnel, and then even the manager, of course, who we'll have on the show later, in Tony Vitello.
Well, I tell you what, we're coming together. We've been working well, and Tony's making certain that we pay attention to the details of the fundamentals, especially trying to be better on the base pads, trying to make certain that we know where we're supposed to be doing the fundamentals and what it's going to take to do it on a daily basis. He's on top of everything. So we've been having a lot of fun because the guys been out there getting after it.
Wash, do you think players now don't know the fundamentals as well as they should? Because we always went over fundamentals, but it was like spring training was like, oh yeah, kind of, you just got to like set that in so that you do all little things great for 162 games. But do you think kids just don't know it as well because of how travel ball and everything is coming into pro ball?
Yep, I think that has something to do with it. But I think even though we are the major league team, you still have to go over it every day as if you don't know it. You think about it, these guys have had 2.5, 3, 4 months off. So we got to get back in the groove. So in the way you get back in the groove is to pound the fundamentals every single day, because that's what you're going to rely on during the course of a season that'll take you through 6 months. So I love that Tony got us out there going through the fundamentals every single day. And guess what? He's right in the middle of everything.
Well, I love hearing that. If anybody doesn't know, I don't even know if Wash remembers, but I got to experience playing a little bit with you in Atlanta in 2021. I wish I would have gotten to be under you earlier in the sense of the fundamentals that you just spoke of. You really are out there every single morning with that knee down on a glove, firing those ground balls at people, and you're just making everybody better. How has that transition to, you got Devers now kind of switching positions, going to first base. You finally get to be with him. How's he looking so far?
Well, he's looking like you just described me. He's out there every morning on his knees doing the same thing you just described. And that's what it's about, you know. You can be as good as you can be when you're a teacher, a mentor, or something like that. But if your pupils don't follow the orders that you're putting out, and I don't mean orders where you being strict or anything like that. I'm talking about the consistency of how you go about your business every day so you can bring that consistency into the game. Well, they're doing that right now. And our job is to make sure that it's not just right now, it's day in and day out. And you just mentioned Atlanta in 21. That's what we did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was every day. We didn't get off to the greatest of starts, but we never stopped trying to find our game. And this is where you find your game, right here in spring training, and then take it through the season and stay on top of it all year long.
Well, like I said, I think you made me a better infielder just by the last year of my career, and I wish I would have got you a little bit earlier in my career. The problem is you made that Atlanta infield a little bit better too, and everybody's hamstrings and hands were ready for a 162-game season, and I never got to get up to the big league team because they were too damn good because you made them too damn good.
Well, they were already good.
They were already good, but
all I did is make sure that they got to work. And the beautiful thing about it all is I think that year the whole infield went to the All-Star game.
30 and 100, I think all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, but I guarantee you ask any of them, you're the first name they mention when they think of who got them right that year or who got them ready to play for that.
Well,
that
that's
season.
because we did it together, and that's what it's about. I demanded that they be tough and put in the time every single day, and they demanded from me that I be there and make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. And that's what teams that win does.
Yes, sir.
They get to demanding out of each other. So it was wonderful, and I'm hoping that we end up doing that right here because so far it's been wonderful. It really has.
Good to hear.
The right side of your infield is going to be two guys that haven't played that position very much. Luis Ariz at second, Rafi Devers at first. However the alignment ends up working out, what do you see from these guys? One positive thing that you see from them, and one thing that, okay, like this is going to be the next step. If they can do this, they can fix this, then they're going to be good at this position.
Well, one positive thing I got is their work ethic. They're diligent in the way they come and go about their business. The next thing is they are trying to bring everyone around them along with them. So, and that's what it's going to take, all of us together. And they're also doing that. Everything that they think of can add to what we're doing. They're out front adding it. And like I say, their work ethic is off the charts right now. And I'll be very impressed if we can keep that work ethic going throughout the year, because that's what keeps the team going.
We were talking about it. We said we were making jokes earlier. I remember from Atlanta. Do we have a swear jar here for you at all?
No, I've sort of got that a little bit under control.
Not if they miss a couple.
Well, and I don't expect that. That's only be human nature right there if they do miss a couple. As long as they don't miss them daily.
There you go.
They can miss some every now and then. That just let me know they're human. But if they start to missing them daily, then they will have to have a swear jar.
What makes you swear more? When somebody's late for their for early work, when you're out on the field hitting them balls, Or
No, what makes me get to that point is when they don't show up, period.
Yeah.
That's what gets me to that point because I starts my morning to be prepared for them. And then when they disappoint me, I'm totally disappointed because I mean I'm hitting the floor at 4 o'clock in the morning and getting everything I have to do together so I can be out on the field that early in the morning and be ready when they show up. And when they don't show up, it upsets me. And maybe I don't have any reason to be upset, but I get upset because I'm competitive even though I'm not between the lines.
You don't disappoint this man. I'll say that from experience. You get your butt out there in the morning. You don't keep this man waiting.
all right, well, then that brings me to the next question. Did you miss getting out there at 4 or getting up at 4 in the morning, being the manager, not being able to get out in the field and hit a couple fungos to the boys? Did you miss it, and are you glad you're back out on the field in this capacity?
I never got away from it, even though I was managing. I mean, my expertise is infield play, and I wouldn't be doing my team any justice, even though I had an infield guy, if I wasn't out there going through the stuff with him. And that's what I did. I was making sure my infield guy was doing the right thing. And so, in a way, I was working for him, and I let it go down like that I was his helper. But he knew what I was out there for, to make sure that the things that needed to be done got done, and there was no corners turned, cut. Everything was done the way it was supposed to be done. Even though when I was managing, I was doing the same thing.
Hey, Wash, how are you feeling? Obviously, you went through heart surgery last year. You look and sound fantastic, but how difficult has the past year been for you? I mean, a big league manager job, as you know, is a huge to-do, and you had to step away for a little bit. Can you take us through how you're feeling and how that whole process was? Because, however it ended with the Angels too and landed you here.
Well, the thing is, I was disappointed because just as my issue hit me last year in June, I had my team going in the right direction. I had the attitude good. They was committed to what we was trying to do, and then that came down, and then I had to watch it on TV. And to watch it on TV, I had to watch them just fall apart. And it wasn't. I wouldn't say they fell apart because I wasn't there, but we fell apart, and I just felt like we was ready to whip some people's butt before I went down. And I made a difference in that clubhouse, and I made a difference on that team. I'm not patting myself on the back, but I did make a difference, and I can see the difference wasn't there when I wasn't there, if that makes any sense. So, I'm enjoying myself here with the Giants. They took a chance on me and my health, and I'm not going to let them down. I've been doing everything I can every single day to make sure that I can post for the Giants, post for the players, post for Tony, and mainly post for myself.
Why do you feel like they didn't bring you back, Wash? The Angels.
I think it was tough for them to trust my health. Nobody would say that, but I think it was tough for them to trust my health. And if I wouldn't have went down, I think I'd still be in Anaheim. But when I went down and I had a big option that they had to pick up, they didn't trust my health. And I have no problem with that. They got right to feel that way.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Wash, quick follow on that, because you've been in the game for a long time, and you were just in that organization. Do you think it's fair after that they gave Kurt Suzuki a 1-year deal? Like, if you were in that position as a manager, what could be the struggle there to make sure you're being your best self in front of players?
Well, the thing with Kurt, he's going to always be himself. That's who he is. I had him in Oakland. I had him a few places, and I like him. So, that's a tough situation to be in. But as you said, these managing jobs aren't that easy to get. And if you have to get it for a year to prove that he deserved it, I'll take it for a year. And that's what he did. I took on what I took on knowing the situation that was happening, and I felt like I could turn it around. And I'm more than certain Kurt think he can turn it around. The guys are a little older now. They're still young, but they're a little older. They got a little bit more experience. You can expect more out of them, and you can demand more out of them, and you should get more out of them, even though they're still young. So it's a good situation in the sense that he has a major league, big league managing job, and it's nothing like it. It really isn't. It's nothing like it.
Some of the best times in clubhouses are when you get to dress the rookies up. Now that you're the vet and I've never been in a coach's manager's office, when it comes time to dress guys up, will you be buying Tony Vitello some type of dress up for his rookie year as a manager?
No, that don't include the manager. No,
Oh,
the
that doesn't
manager is the
include him?
boss man. No, the manager is the boss man. You don't mess with him. You just do what he say does. He wants you to do. That's what you do. You don't talk about dressing him up. No, never.
Plus, he's got the hangout spot. Wash. I heard he's got the hangout spot. He's got the cool crib, right?
That's right. And like I tell you, he's a sharp guy, and he'll grow on you if you're around him. He really will. He knows a lot about the game of baseball. Even though
he's lucky
he
to
may
have
not
you.
be a professional, he's still got a lot of knowledge and wisdom about the game of baseball.
Well, he's lucky to have you. He's a smart man to bring you in to help him with year one here, Wash. We really appreciate the time. It's good to see you in good health, too. Thanks for joining us. Good luck this season.
Well, thank you. And I'm like I said, I will do everything I can to make sure I'm healthy through the whole 162-game season and what amount of games we play in the playoffs.
The game is better to have you here. So good luck. Thank you, Wash.
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ron Washington's the best. Awesome to have him on live on FT. All right, let's get to BetMGM futures for the World Baseball Classic, which begins next week, and we'll go over picks. So we did ticket yesterday, Kratz. Now let's move to handle. And I did the 101 or the 411 for anyone that needed a little bit of help on what the difference is. This is where the big money's going. USA, 39% of the money being placed on the World Baseball Classic winner is on USA. And they're minus money. They're like 110-ish. It's moved around a little bit. Yep. 110, 120, 130, something like that. Okay. DR is getting 24% of the pie, and then Venezuela at 17%. You get much better odds with those two. Anything you can learn from the trends here?
I mean, the trends, I feel like maybe people are taking it, and the number will show that. People are taking it as, oh, well, America, they got to have the best team. That, there's just so much going into this. When you get into the semifinals, it's one game elimination. You might not have the best. It's not like they're going to say, all right, one game elimination. We already know Scooble's only throwing one game. Maybe it doesn't line up that this person's going to pitch to this lineup and you catch a game. That's what's so great about this. And that's why it's so tough for me to go with the favorite in the U.S. If I'm putting money down, I'm with some of the public here, where the Venezuela, the DR, even Japan, I think we were getting plus 300 earlier in the week. I didn't see it today, but to me, that's where the money is in this, just because it is such a tough tournament to win. And that's what we're picking here, who wins.
I think the key also, Kip, is that the quote playoffs for the WBC start just about instantly, right? You have pool play for 5 seconds, and then it's such a quick tournament and it's single elimination. We get enough variance in the postseason sometimes that if you now turn this into a winner take all, in the quarters, the semis, and the finals, it's just really, really putting you in a position to see an upset. And that's why, for me, as much as the USA team looks really good, if I'm throwing money down on a winner, I'm not going there.
It's especially, with these guys, because a lot of times the veterans who are playing on Team USA or playing on all these teams, it's you build up to it. You build up to the major league season, and so you might be building up to that 6-7 innings to a full game right before the season starts. So you kind of want to get started a little sooner. You want to be on your game a little bit sooner, because like you guys are saying, that it's like if one team comes in, is just off or didn't get enough at bats or isn't ready fully yet, they are very prone to an upset, and that can happen very easily. So it is a little bit of a crapshoot. You hope the cream rises to the top fast, but there is no guarantee, especially in this format that the WBC has.
And if you're placing some WBC bets next week, you might want to opt into this promotion. You should see if you can be part of the leaderboard challenge here and get yourself a chance at winning one of the 25 grand prize packages. The Cavender twins are running the Court of Legends out in Vegas. They got some speakeasy kind of events. They're doing a little skills competition out there. You're going to get to hang and watch some hoops out there for the big tournament. And don't forget to use the code FOUL to claim your new player offer, up to $1,500 back on your first wager with BetMGM. Make it legendary. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's do a season preview on the San Francisco Giants while we're at their camp. We'll look at additions and subtractions for this team. They're trying to get out of mediocrity range. Luis Arraez added Harrison Bader to man center field, some pitching depth with Tyler Mahle and Adrian Hauser. Verlander moved on. They traded Doval and Rogers last year. Yaz didn't come back. So there's your additions and subtractions. Kip, what do you got for us? You're at camp right now. San Francisco's looking up at a team that they wish they were right now in the Dodgers. Everybody does. They're the dynasty at the moment. Before them, you could maybe call, what Houston was doing somewhat of a dynasty, and then you can definitely point back to the Giants winning 3 titles in 5 years. They had it. They had it going. Can they get it back?
Talking to Chapman a little earlier, I do like what they've been doing, bringing in a little bit older guys. With Arraez, Adames, a lot of these guys I think will help lengthen this lineup. I think it'll give them a little bit more professional at-bats throughout the entire lineup, allow those young guys to kind of ease in or not put as much pressure on them. But to me, this team goes as far as Devers goes. I think you need to get him back into a full season of him where he's healthy, happy, and hitting the way that he always has really up until this point. So I think he's the catalyst for the lineup as he would be in most lineups, but I think this offense and this team goes as far as he goes. You're going to need some quality pitching. You know that they're not going to back down from anybody in this division, but you're going to have to be on your game if you want to mess with the big dogs at the top of this division. Unfortunately, that's just the way the Dodgers are positioned. But I think as they stay healthy, if Arraez is getting on base maybe at the top of the order and Chapman's healthy doing what he does, there's going to be a lot of RBIs out there for Devers, but they're going to need that for this offense to kind of score runs to compete with those other teams.
If we're talking about this team in this division, not even in this league, the National League, Ron Washington was just on talking about all this hard work. It just seems like you pushed all in with Devers and you're like, yeah, we got him. Essentially, the Red Sox didn't really want anybody because they've gotten rid of everybody that, except for one pitcher, that they traded for him. So they took that salary on. That was their big move offensively. To me, they got to finish with this rotation. This is how you win in San Francisco. I don't think Buster Posey is like, oh no, we're going to win with offense. I think the offense is where it needs to be. I don't think they needed any big moves. And then they added Arraez. I think the Bader move was good. I don't think you're going to get the same thing you got last year out of Bader. It'll be closer to, especially in San Fran, closer to what he normally did. Last year was a career year. To me, it was that rotation. To me, there's a lot of guys for them to make that move that would have maybe pushed them up a little bit, because right now you have Cy Young candidate Logan Webb, and you have Robbie Ray's going to give you some good innings. You're going to have maybe Tyler Mahle's going to be in there and giving you some. Adrian Hauser is probably that consistent high value in San Francisco type of pitcher, where he's going to get some balls on the ground for you that are going to get those easy outs. But there's just too much in that 3, 4, 5 range that is a question mark for me. And I thought that Buster Posey was going to address it. But if you also look back at the times that Buster Posey was there, they had those guys from within. They had Matt Cain from within. They had Tim Lincecum from within. And then later on, they were winning with guys from the outside and Madison Bumgarner. So to me, I felt like there was one more move, and it didn't have to be Framber. It didn't have to be, the Ranger Suarez type of move. But I thought Zach Gallen knows the league. I thought that type of move would have pushed this team to be a playoff team, because currently I don't know. I think they're on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I agree with you a little bit. I think, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that probably needs to go right for this team to be there at the end. But bringing in Ron Washington, bringing in some of these older guys, I think they're going to play a better brand of baseball, though. I think they're going to not shoot themselves in the foot like a young team might. I think they're going to force you to have to beat them. They're not going to lose it themselves. So I like how they're getting a little bit more mature with their approach and their lineup. So We'll see. We'll see. They've got some interesting pieces. And if things go right, they are going to be a tough team to beat, but they are going to need some things to go right.
Kratz, I'm with you on the rotation side. Let's look at the projected starting lineup here, and I'll read it out for people listening on the podcast. So they signed a Rise. He's going to play second. He's a one-tool guy. We get it, right? It's contact. He's got a hit tool. Not going to walk a ton. Not going to play the best defense. Not going to run the bases like a speed demon. But does he take advantage of a big-ass outfield? I think so. I think that 99 OPS plus from last year goes more towards the 115 range. Devers, comfy in there for a full first season with the Giants. Adames, Chapman, Jung-Hoo Lee. I think this will ease some pressure off him. Center field was not his spot, right? That was not scouted correctly. Corner outfield should be a better place for him. Elliot Ramos, who had a pretty nice year and really good the year before. We've talked about him. Bader out there in center. Bryce Eldridge is a huge X factor because he's a massive hitting prospect that you're looking at a 42 OPS plus number. That's not real. It's in 5 seconds of plate appearances, but I mean, that could be a big impact. And then Patrick Bailey is definitely more of a glove first guy. So thoughts here? Yeah. Thoughts here, Kratz?
I mean, for me, I would disagree with what Kip said. He said this lineup goes by Rafi Devers. No, this lineup, like you have to have his 140 OPS plus. You have to have him at his career numbers, not like, ooh, he's carrying them. Like, to me, that's ground zero. I think the big splash here, not to be pun intended, in San Francisco, what does Bryce Eldridge do? What does he do when he comes in? It's a lot to put on a young kid, but if they're going to give him 150 to 200 at bat leeway at the DH spot, and I'm not saying they are, I'm saying that's what's projected. If they're going to give him that leeway, that's 30-40% of the season at the DH position. If he can figure out how to hit 25 home runs in San Francisco, and I say 25, everyone else will be like, he's got 40 home run power. Let's pump the brakes. In San Francisco, the first guy to do it since Barry Bonds was Willie Adames last year. So to me, it's a lot to put on Bryce Eldridge, but it's something that has to happen. To me, they have him projected right there, 8th in the lineup. If he's not hitting 4th or 5th in this lineup, I feel like maybe they missed on trying to add a DH, missed on adding a veteran type of DH, which I'm totally fine with because I've seen he has ridiculous power, but they got to give him a long enough runway, and I don't know if that runway at DH is going to be fair to the team because they need him to hit. I think he can, but there's a lot of pressure on him. I think Patrick Bailey, what he showed me in the last month and a half of the season, I think he could hit 12 to 15 home runs. He didn't hit anything early in the season. So for me, I'm looking at that projected lineup and I go, the bottom of the order has to lift this order to be able to say, okay, well, we're just not going to throw to Rafi Devers because you're not going to hit many home runs out of this ballpark. We're just going to mitigate our way through the lineup if I'm an opposing team and say, we're just not going to let the big boys beat us.
Yep. All right, let's get to our next guest. He's ready to go live on FT. And he's part of a really fun trivia question, I think. Logan Webb joining us right now from the Giants. Logan, great to have you on. Am I right on this one? This is just in the back of the head. Are you the last dude to hit a home run before the DH era started, or am I totally off there?
If we don't count Shohei, then yes.
Yes, we don't count Shohei.
I don't count him. Yeah, I don't count him. That's fine.
Who's it off
there? You go. That's a good trivia question right there.
No, I do. But it was Nabil Krismat with the Padres.
Okay.
Game 162.
Dude, that's it. Awesome. We're never going to see that again. We're not going back. You know?
Do you still have the ball?
Of course. Of
I
course
do.
It went right over the little dog cutout left field.
How about this? I had 10 years, never played in San Diego once.
You mean San Francisco?
I think you said it was San Diego you hit it.
No.
Oh, versus San Diego.
Versus San Diego.
Got
in
it.
San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, first row or 30th row, they count all the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So what do you got for us, Logan? I mean, one of the popular topics here is the manager coming in from the college ranks, got a veteran crew that he's going to manage. Like we just spoke to Ron Washington live on the show. Does it feel different? Is he kind of figuring himself out, or because he's got a lot of swag and confidence, it just feels like he's another big league manager?
Yeah, I mean, it feels very similar. I'd say there's a little more energy than some of the ones that I've had before, but I think that's a good thing. It's something that we probably needed a little bit, especially kind of at the end of the season last year. Just seemed like we were kind of in a lull, and I think Tony's a guy who will kind of mitigate that and make sure that kind of never happens. So I'm excited. It's been a fun camp so far. There's a ton of good energy. Obviously, it's a long season. We all know that. I think, as players, if there's anything we can help him with, it's that, is knowing that it's a long season.
That's a long season, but you're the one guy in that rotation that's like, whatever. I'm just going to be here the whole time. I'm just going to do my thing. How does that look different compared to when you first broke in the league? This preparation for the season. I'm not even talking about WBC yet because that's new. But what does that look like for you differently? Because you're just a constant dude in the end of the year conversation for Cy Young Award.
Yeah, I think every offseason is different. I mean, you guys know that. You go into it, you're working on new stuff. This year, it wasn't necessarily. Last year was kind of the cutter and the four seam. This year for me, it's just kind of refining some things. But I think the more you throw, the more innings you throw, the more pitches you throw, the more you know your body, the more you know how to get prepared for a season. And I think in that too, you kind of learn different things to stay prepared. Maybe, I was with Verlander last year. He's been doing it for, 21st year. And that guy knows what he needs to do to be ready to throw in a season and to throw each game. And I picked his brain as much as I could. So hopefully I can, be a guy that throws as long as he does. And he was wonderful to me. And like I said, I think my biggest thing with young guys is try to learn from the older guys as much as you can, see what they do. Position player wise for us, Chapman's a freaking stud. Go watch what he does every day. Go follow his routine. Everyone's different. Everyone's not gonna be the same, but I think those are good things to follow. And that for me, I've had so many good older guys that I've just taken bits and pieces of throughout the years, and it's helped me to this day figure out the routine that I need to be ready to throw every fifth day.
I was going to say, no matter how long you play, you always kind of can approach the game still as a rookie, where you're never done learning. This game's never really done teaching. I think you've led the most innings since 2021. You led the league in strikeouts last year for the NL. So you got to feel confident going into this year. But here comes the WBC. What changes have you made kind of in prep going for the season? Have you pulled back certain bullpens, or are you pushing forward to make sure you're ready for that?
To be honest, I feel like I haven't changed. I haven't changed anything. Honestly, I feel like I've kind of toned it back a little bit.
Okay.
I was for some reason there's two bullpens in January every year where I throw harder than I will all season, and
use all your good bullets.
Exactly. and I made it a point to not do that this year, just knowing because I'm going to have a little bit more adrenaline in March than I'm used to, but at the same time, I know it's not the same, but I get nervous for every start I make.
Sure.
I pitching in these spring training games. There's not many people in the stands. I get nervous for that. I get a ton of adrenaline for that. So I know it's going to be different.
Yeah.
I'm expecting it. I'm excited about it. In reality, it's 3 weeks before I'd throw something like that, anyways, and it's not as many pitches. It's not as many innings. And, I got Dave Greshner there. He's going to be our head trainer. Absolute stud. So I think I'll have my routine kind of dialed in to know I can I don't know.
We're about to see those two seams at 98 miles an hour here for Team USA. The only two starts he's ever going to hit that velo, and it's going to be insane.
You're talking about the wrong guy. You're talking about Skeens, right?
Nope.
Okay.
Talking about you. You said you could hit velo in those two bullpens. I want those with the USA jersey on.
A lot's been made about the fact that Scuba's going to make one start. Confirm you are making two starts, correct?
I am, yeah, and I feel like I got slack for that too. But there's only 7 games, right?
Right.
That's slack for only starting 2.
Yeah, well, they came out and said we were throwing. Me and Skeens were throwing 2, and there's my dad's a big likes
the
to see what people are
strikeout
saying.
leader of the NL and Paul Skeens going multiple starts of a 7-game series. Let's just
Yeah,
get
what
out
kind
of
of
the
flack
comment
did you
section,
get?
people?
Yeah, what was the problem? What were
Just
they
pretty.
saying?
I don't think they understand that it's only 7 games. At the end of the day, it's only 7 games. If I throw 2, Paul throws 2, and Scooble throws 1, there's
I could throw the other 2 then.
Yeah, and there's studs throwing those other games.
God,
It's not
good
like
Lord.
so. It's yeah. I mean, I'm gonna see it through. I don't know if I'll let Mark DeRosa kind of tell people when I'm throwing, but I know when I'm throwing. I know I'll be starting both of them. So
now I want to get into a little of just what you were throwing, because I know I looked at one of the adjustments you made was kind of saving that change up a little bit more, right? Is that something you developed on your own as a philosophy, or like kind of I'm going to hide this and save this till 2 strikes? Are you just reading hitters' swings? Are you reading, and is this your something else might come up where I might be a cutter inside on the hands or something to just kind of go as the season goes?
the game nowadays, there's so much information.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I was getting to points of the season where I go up there and face the lefty, and it might not be a great matchup for me. So I throw 5 straight changeups, and I might throw a couple good ones, and then that third one or fourth one, whatever it was, is the one I don't click, or it doesn't click, and I'm giving up a base hit. So it was just kind of saving it for just having confidence in the other stuff. I think Justin was helped me with that a lot last year.
If I faced you and you threw 5 changeups in a row, after I'm done running out my ground ball to first base, I would be letting you hear it. Kratzy, what you got?
Logan, all right. Now, you didn't tell us when you're going to pitch, but you have to answer this question because I say it on the show all the time. I think you're one of the top 5 pitchers in the game. Where do you rank yourself in the top 10? If you want to be humble Larry today, where do you rank yourself of the top 5 starting pitchers in the game?
I don't know. That's a hard question. There's so many good pitchers in baseball right now that kind of go under the radar. I don't know if I would. I'm not going to be the one to rank myself.
Who do you think? Okay, let me follow up on that. Who do you think is one or a couple of the underrated pitchers who are just nasty that maybe don't get the public love or don't have the stats yet that back up how good they are?
I'll go with probably my favorite one is Brian Wu. I do. One. Yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of guys. I feel like I could keep. I feel like Christopher Sanchez is a guy who I know he finished second in Cy Young, but I feel like he kind of flies under the radar. Like that's a 6'6" lefty throwing 97-mile-per-hour sinkers.
Makes me happy to be on the couch.
I don't think. I don't think any hitter's excited to face that guy. I could go on. Joe Ryan's one of my guys. Ton of guys that I would all rank ahead of me.
Well, not anybody else would, but that's how good you've been.
What do you think is going to happen first? You challenging an ABS strike zone or a strike or ball call, or Patrick Bailey getting thrown out of a game because he didn't have any more challenges left?
Probably Patrick Bailey. So I think our first game we had 2 pitchers challenge, and they were ugly, like not even close. And so I think the next day we're like, all right, catchers are the only ones who can challenge here.
You guys lost that already?
Yes, we lost it already. But I was going to let them do that anyways. I think pitchers, you're throwing the pitch. You're emotional, right? 3-2, you want the pitch. I think every pitcher's has done this before where you think it's a strike, and then you go back and watch the video, and it's like 3 balls out or 3 balls up. And
hitters do that too.
Yeah, so I think the best thing to do is kind of leave it to Patrick. I think he's I know I might be biased, but he probably knows his zone better than any catcher in baseball.
Yeah, I mean the numbers would say it for sure. What do you think is going to be the toughest pitch, because we have ABS now, for umpires and Patrick to call when you're throwing the sweeper, when you're running that ball left to right or right to left? Because you throw both pitches that move in both directions.
I think for me, I think in general, I think the fastball up is going to be hard. Probably for me too. Like sometimes I'll throw the sinker up. Sometimes I think sometimes umpire gets maybe, I'm throwing it down most of the time, and then I throw one up, and I think that one will be hard just in general. But
I think
yeah.
you see the most fluctuation at the top of the zone because umpires haven't had to be that pitchers haven't gone up there for as much as they are down in the zone. And Krasse, I think I'm going to answer a little bit of that question with it depends which side of the catcher the umpire sets up on. I think kind of the opposite side that he sets up on might be the one that is harder for him to get right or to control, and that's going to be challenged a little bit more. Would you agree?
No, I 100%. Yeah, as far if they're way in with a lefty, they're way in with a righty, that slider will look different than the sinker down and away to the lefty. I like that. So it's all up to Patrick. It's not up to you, Logan.
No, yeah, I'm going to leave it up to him.
Every time I see you, you seem like you're the same guy. You got the same grin on. You're like always in the 7th, 8th inning. What is your temperament after you don't have a good start? Is it a tough 5 days? Do you grind on it? Or are you like, hey, you know what? I'm freaking good, so I don't need to grind on this one too much longer.
I try to get it out that night, right? It's the old saying, right? You go in the shower, get it all out of you, and then you got to get into the next day and just prepare for the next one. But it depends. Sometimes, there's I think last year I had a 7 ERA in the month of July, so there's a lot of 5 days where you're not very happy with yourself. And
I've had months like that.
Yeah, I think as much as you can get over it as fast as you can, I think the better off you'll be. It's like the old saying, I think a lot of the best pitchers, I try to tell pitchers this, a lot of the best pitchers can switch it to the next pitch instead of the next at bat or the next inning. They kind of wash it off and ready for the next one.
Logan, last one for you. Do you hate the Dodgers? Respect the Dodgers? Like, what's your take, as they're a division rival, you guys had, or the Giants organization had a dynasty in the 21st century. Dodgers have their own thing going on right now. What's your take on what you're seeing over there as you guys get to face them a lot and you just saw them add on a few more big names this offseason?
I think it's great for baseball. I think I think I'm kind of supposed to hate them, right? I play for the Giants. It's a great rivalry. But the stuff they're doing, I think they want to win, right? And I think that's, if you're in any organization, I think that's the biggest thing is you want them to want to win as well. And they've shown that they want their players to win. They want the organization to win. So I think it's a good thing. You always want a villain, right? I think they've
got that title.
They've gotten that title, not in a bad way either. I enjoyed, the competition. I like facing them. Sometimes I don't like facing them if they score 6 off me, which has happened
again after the 7th inning.
But I really enjoy, you want to compete against the best, and I think that's, like I said, I think it's good for baseball. It's cool seeing, friends get paid. I know you kind of text and you're like, hey, why'd you sign there, dude? But you're at the end of the day, you're excited for them. It's it's life changing. And you can never fault a guy for wanting to win.
No.
Yeah. Hey, I'm with you. I mean, they've got something special going on right now. And, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if you guys can give them a little run this year. I'm looking forward to seeing what this team's got to offer. And, dude, have a great time at the WBC. Everybody on the U.S. side obviously rooting for you. So good luck. Appreciate the time. Great to catch up with you.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That's Logan Webb. Be right back. We're going to get into all of the nitty-gritty details about why you should switch to Mint Mobile, but I brought a special guest in for this one to alert you that you might be paying way too much for your wireless bill. Erik Kratz, can you give me the bullpen dugout phone, please?
You want to pay $15 a month? Unlimited? Switch to Mint Mobile.
You heard the man. Unlimited talk, text, and data at a fraction of what others charge.
Ready to stop paying more than you have to? New customers can make the switch today, and for a limited time, get unlimited premium wireless for just $15 per month. Switch now at mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/territory. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required, $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com.
Hey, hot corner time, and it sounds like the Padres are going to get sold really soon. It could come in the next few weeks. It's kind of sneaking up on everyone. So here, we're actually posting the correction to the story put out in The Athletic. Dennis Lin and Ken just reposted how Drew Brees and the founder of Viore want to be in on this. Regarding the process, those two guys did not submit a formal bid on their own. They're exploring potentially partnering with one of the other groups. So apparently there are 5 bidders that are involved. And first round of bids were due on Wednesday. Like, this is happening fast, Kratz. It's 5 bidders, and then they hope to have this finished up by opening day. And we see this process often happen that way. So you kind of get it out of the way so that you can then just enjoy your last ride, and then the transition happens at some point during the season. I think we saw this timing pretty similar with the Orioles, from what I remember, when David Rubenstein, Michael Arrighetti, that group. Nah, I thought it was pretty similar, where they took over around the start. Like, we got the news around the start of the season, and then they officially took over. No?
Okay, I just thought there was semantics. I thought there was like a game happened, and then they were in the bar buying drinks right around when it had happened around Camden Yards. But whatever, it was definitely
that might have been the official. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we're about to see a big change here with the team. When it depends who is going to be running that team. Joe Lacob is involved. We talked about him earlier. He owns the Warriors. He's done a pretty nice job there. And then there's an English soccer league team owner. I think he owns Chelsea, the football club, which is worth a lot of money, many, many billions, many more than what the Padres are going to go for. Padres valuation from some of the publications has them like in the mid-2s billion, but it sounds like they're asking for 3. And I think they're going to get close to that number because it's such a vibe out there, Kratz. I think there's still a lot of room for growth. And they dominate the city, even if it's a smaller market. I mean, they're selling that place out. It's like, imagine if you have a freaking concert tour and you're just selling out 82 nights in a row or 81 nights in a row. I mean, they're printing. They know what they're doing. And yeah, did they jack up the payroll a little bit and maybe pay or overpay for some guys? Perhaps, but some of that's coming back down. I think this is going to be a very profitable franchise.
I mean, they've created an entertainment industry right there at the stadium. Like, I know a lot of teams are like, "Ooh, we got to build around the stadiums." They won't say it, but they've created the energy in the stadium that's now permeating through the city. Like, it's San Diego's only professional team, and I think, it's credit to the late Mr. Seidler, but what he created, what he allowed the payroll to get to was to win. And I think this organization still wants to win with AJ Preller at the helm. And added repercussion or what happens when you put money in to try to win? Fans start coming out. You get a good team. And they have it's a snowball. They have 7 or 8 games a year where new attendance record because they're adding seats. People want to go to the game, and it is a vibe.
Yeah,
you just want ownership to come in. I just want ownerships that are looking like the Mets, or you just want them to spend. You want to make this league fun. You want to get these exciting contracts. Obviously, a little bias coming from a player's side, but you want teams. The more teams that go for it, the more fun this league becomes.
Right. Yeah, Cohen actually has the highest bid ever for Major League Baseball, buying the Mets for $2.42 billion. But again, this is going to beat that number. Also, think about it on the franchise valuation side. The current group that owns the Padres, this isn't like the Twins, where they bought them 40 years ago. They bought this team in 2012. Okay, so it's 2026. It's 14 years ago. In 14 years, the valuation has gone from 800 million to now they might sell this team for close to $3 billion. They are going to at least triple their money. At least triple their money. Put your money in the market in 2012 and then close your eyes and look at it now. It didn't triple.
Nice. No, it didn't.
But
ultimately, that is what brings businessmen into a business. But this
no
is
doubt.
a business and a sport. What Scott's talking about is teams and owners crying, "Oh, it's poor. Like you don't understand. There was a lot of overhead during that time." Okay. But now we're coming to the completion of all that overhead, all those investments, and how you stewarded your possession of the team. It shows it growed. It shows it grew, and they had growth that now they're able to cash in. Now the estate, Peter Seidler's estate, is able to cash in, and I think it's interesting because all we hear is, "Oh, we're going to wait till the new CBA. We're going to wait." They're probably going to wait till the new CBA to put their organization, put their franchise on the market. I'll be interested to see if it's sold before this new CBA, and then the organizations that are sold after the CBA, did they get a gold mine by jumping in a year early?
Yeah, and I think they're already starting to price it that way, where they think post CBA your valuation goes up, and that's why some of the teams are waiting to sell. And really, my point also is even simpler than that. They've done a nice job with the team, and the money goes up. I mean, the money goes up with the league anyway, with the revenues, but they've done a nice job out there. And Kip, winning matters. It's most of it.
Yeah.
But they haven't won a World Series title, and they've brought a lot more of a winning culture out there, a lot more of an entertaining culture out there. So I know there's Dodger fans that are watching right now that are going to insert their little bro jokes or whatever they've got for the Padres because they've been winning and the Padres didn't. And really, I can't harp enough on going back a couple years ago where the Padres had them. And I think they would have won the World Series that year. That was the time. And for some reason, it seemed, distracted and just they couldn't put together hits against a really good Dodgers pitching staff. But anyway, you fast forward, and Kip, I mean, for a good chunk of your playing career, what did you think of the Padres as a franchise?
They, again, as I said when Webby was here, I never got to play them or never really played against or in San Diego. So I never experienced competing against them. But at the same time, they weren't what they are now. I think once Preller got there, once you got to the Machado, Bogarts, like you got all these big names, big contracts coming in. You saw the NFL team leave. Like that city loves that team now, and it looks like a vibe to play in. Like you said, it looks like a fun, loud place that gets even louder during the postseason. Guys want to live in San Diego. Guys want to play there. It looks like the place to be. They just were not able to get over the hump that year that you were talking about, and who knows? Maybe this could be this new ownership if it does happen and the deal's made and it goes through, and it gives them a chance to reload for Preller to go after some other big names and get there maybe after the Dodgers are finishing their run if they're about to go on a run. So it's one of the better places to play in the league, weather-wise, fan-wise, and if you have good ownership and ownership willing to spend, why is this not high on most free agents' list?
And Preller's actually going to be there now for a while. He just signed an extension.
Yeah.
There's some back and forth going on there. So, yeah, he's locked in. All right, so this is going to transition us to current free agent Justin Turner chiming in on the socials. Last night, something that popped was John Heyman putting in his story, what a salary cap would look like from a proposal standpoint, and then people were reacting. He said early suggestions are looking at a proposed cap around 260 to 280 mil and a floor of 140 to 160. Justin Turner then put out their question for the, quote, parity people who are pro salary cap. Do you implement the cap and then wait for all the deferrals like the Dodgers to expire before you start seeing if the cap works for parity? Do you not think this gives them an even bigger advantage over the next 5 to 10 years? And then debate ensued about what that would look like. So even if we do get to a world where there's a hard cap, because we have soft one now, a hard cap implemented, yeah, they're not going to do this overnight. It would take a lot of time to get there. But he said, in case you're wondering, the deferrals wouldn't actually start hitting the Dodgers hard until 2034. They would be at about 90 in deferrals toward a proposed cap, so 8 years until they start to feel it. I will say, though, there's so much nuance to what he's talking about, because we still factor in deferrals to the luxury tax number, so you can do net present value. So it doesn't quite work that way, and I think it's more worth talking out. The other thing I'll point out there is, these stories are coming out left and right, and the season hasn't started yet. Kip, right now we have some fans like, stop talking about the CBA, and I'm like, the stories keep coming out, and social media keeps going ablaze about the topics. So yeah, I don't want to talk about it all day either. I know we're going to talk about it all freaking winter long next year. But right now, somebody puts out a story, puts out a proposed cap number that definitely comes from somebody who's in the know there, comes from someone on the league side who's leaking that out. We're going to react to it at least.
Couple things. It's our job to talk about it with this show. That's exactly what we should be doing. It's a big part of the game, and it's a big part of the direction this game's headed to right now, where this is going to be a huge story. And one thing that I think the players' side has always kind of stood by is we want transparency. We want the public to have all the knowledge and all the stories that we get, so they can have all the information to make kind of their own judgment. But no, these stories are very important, because this game is maybe coming to a standstill here soon because of certain disagreements. And I want everybody to know what's actually going on, and I want them to make an educated opinion. So these stories are very important to talk about.
Can I ask a question? Kip, you're a businessman. If fans feel like some teams, can't spend enough, and they're going to have to spend a lot more on a floor like that. Let's say it's 160 mil. There's some teams barely touching 100. How are they getting there? I'm going to tell you how they get there. They're going to get there from revenue sharing, and then this just basically puts in forced revenue sharing. So I know the player stance is, hey, if you want to cap, it's just suppressing player salaries, right? It's concentrating them. It helps franchise valuations. Isn't the same difference to just give more money to the teams that don't feel like they can keep up and then force them to actually spend it? Because we don't do either of those things right now. Like, okay, you played most of your career in Cleveland, right? Cleveland doesn't spend much in the offseason. Lately they really do almost nothing. I think they kind of pushed chips in more during your last run there, right? 2016 World Series. There's a little more going on. Now it's like really, really quiet. We had Mike Chernoff the other day on, and he was very personal, but also very straightforward. Like, yeah, we don't play in those waters. I'm like, okay, what if I just dropped $100 million on you? And it sounds crazy, but they have a new TV deal that's going to come up in the next couple of years. So it's not that crazy that they're going to get more money, and they can figure out the revenue sharing a little bit more. If they're then told, hey, you got to spend this on players, what's the difference? If your team then is forced to spend that way, what's the difference between that and then putting a cap on something?
I think the difference, here's one where I'll say the difference is, I think after we were making our run in Cleveland around 16 and all those years, we were able to sign Edwin Encarnacion, I think for 4 years for 80, so a 20 a year. It's granted it's been some years since then, but you see Cleveland has kind of stopped spending a little bit. You don't want a team, especially a small market team, to go for it, to spend some money, and then have to take a decade to lick their wounds from trying to go for it. You want them to keep going for it. I think that's where the floor is a little bit better than the cap. But listen, it's not like they're struggling to make money here with TV deals and everything else. I think it's no difference when you put it on paper the way that you were laying it out earlier. So I think you're using too much common sense and rationale right now, which just isn't always been there in negotiations, but hopefully it will be come to the future. I think there is a medium. There is some place where we can meet forward. The problem with these negotiations is, instead of just agreeing on the middle piece, it's I'll give you this inch, you give me this inch. And it's like it takes time to get there to the middle because nobody wants to even give that inch. So hopefully the calmer, smarter heads prevail in the long run. But yeah, it's just these are the stories that are going to keep coming out where you're going to realize why no side's willing to budge yet.
Kratz, what do you think of these parameters?
I just think my opinion is I try not to be too player-sided, but I'm trying to bring the reality of the situation. This is an owner's. I don't have an issue as much with the Guardians because they do try to win. The organizations that try to pocket money is where I have the issue. Let's say the Marlins. Let's go to the Marlins. There's $76 million as the projected opening day salaries. They're just going to automatically with the increased revenue sharing, they're just going to automatically double their salary, like their salary expenditure. No, like that. I have a hard time believing they're just going to automatically like generate this much money. This could be something. There's something like Kip said, there's something in the middle. There's an answer in the middle there because we have the soft salary cap that teams are willing to go over. Teams are willing to pay that penalty, which then, yes, goes to players, but it also goes to the lower level organizations, the organizations that need the revenue sharing. So why can't we have a soft floor where if you don't hit this, I just don't like the parameters that are there are just, they're putting those numbers out in the media so that fans are like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. My team is a small market. My team is not the Dodgers. So I'm going to get behind this. The reality is the Dodgers are going to get richer. If they institute this, teams are going to get richer, and the parity is not going to be like, look at the other leagues. The parity is not there. So it's an organizational thing. Maybe when you look at a league and you say everybody has to compete, it's competitive balance. It's not a CBA that's just a balance. It's not a BA. It's a competitive balance. The point of our league is to make every team compete. Not everybody gets a trophy, but every team compete. And without a soft salary floor, those teams have no reason to compete. They just continue to get their revenue checks, and they continue to cry poor, and they continue to finish in third to fifth place.
And that is the real battle going on behind the scenes. That is a fact. There is a massive battle because we've even seen owners get public about that, right? We've heard some of Yankees. We've heard Hal Steinbrenner kind of say, hey, I don't want to keep sharing all of that with these guys because I don't feel like they're spending it. And that's the battle that goes on behind the scenes. I mean, the TV battle's there too. Some teams are like, why do we have to give up all of our rights to the league? And you see, it looks like the Braves and the Angels are going to start their own network. So there's a lot of battling that goes on behind the scenes. But all we see out in public is, all right, it's going to be $250 million. Dodgers are going to make $800 million a year. And they're going to they might be able to buy another planet and breed their own baseball players with that extra money and make them sign with the Dodgers. I'm kidding. But in all seriousness, that's a tough number in my mind. Yep. I don't think they're going to get anywhere close to that. And anyway, I'm just one of those people. I don't think there's going to be a cap. And I also don't think that we're going to miss time. I think that they're going to fake miss time.
I agree.
That's been my prediction. I think they're going to fake miss time means we'll get to March, blah, blah, blah. They'll say, oh, now we're going to start missing games. And then they'll figure it out a couple weeks later when push comes to shove and it starts to look like they might actually miss them. And they'll be like, we're going to flow some double headers. You're going to barely have any spring training. They might not even go to spring training. They might just do like COVID style. You go to the ballpark, you do a week and you just go. And they say, well, you want to fight with us? You might not be totally ready and you get hurt.
I think it needs to be remembered too that this would be a lockout, not a strike. Too many people that were still alive in 1994, the players struck. This is the owners locking the players out, locking their employees out of the business, locking up, cannot come to work. So I think there's too many times where it's just been very much like, ooh, the players this, the players that. To me, when this number comes out, 250 to 160, if that's what they want, if they want a salary cap, what are the owners willing to give up? Next John Heyman article, next Evan Drellick article, next Jason Stark, Ken Rosenthal, all those articles, what are the owners willing to give up? Because with a cap, players are giving up so much. Are you willing to let your best player go after 4 years to free agency? 4 years of team control, that's it. That's what we're willing to give up. Let's start here.
You know what happened there? I can guarantee you what would happen there. There's
What?
something that exists. You want me to tell you what would happen? I'm telling you, like, I could see that where they're like, forget that, 3 years, right? And then you know what they would say? Look at the NBA. It's going to be super team city, because if you're capped on what you can
Thank
make,
you.
all the guys are going to go to the same spots that just treat them
Thank
really
you.
well, and then you might even start to see some Kawhi Leonard marketing contracts. Oh, wow, look, I can get an influencer deal. It'll turn to like NIL. Look, I got an influencer deal for one post. I got 20 million bucks, but I'm with the Dodgers now. It could get real ugly real fast. NBA is going through a lot of problems right now. That's
for
very
years
public.
it's been,
Their regular season is sloppy right now.
It's terrible. Guys don't even play the whole year.
Yeah.
But it's been years of very owner-centric driven type of rhetoric. And I just want to make sure that when people come to our show, do we say the players' side? Absolutely, because that's what we know. Me and Kip are idiots. Kip owns a business, and I'm bald. So, and I had a below zero WAR for everybody who wants to comment on that. This is something that is a two-sided negotiation. So when you hear that, make sure you're able to listen to the other side and hear, well, what would be the exchange there? What would be the exchange? Because the goal is parity, right? Because that's what we keep hearing. Parity, parity, parity. Fans want parity. Just make sure what is being put out there, there's two sides to the argument. There's two sides to this negotiation.
Yeah, and like Kip mentioned, we got to talk about it, but I'm like kind of exhausted from it right now. So I'm excited for the WBC to start. I know we're going to talk about it a ton, but I think once we have like real action and games going on, maybe there will be less stories that take social media by storm, because it's exhausting right now. In my mind, let's just have fun, watch the WBC, watch the season play out, and go from there. Dodgers didn't go 162-0. They've put together a banger franchise, and I think all you need to do is look at their farm system. If all they're doing is spending money and being able to overcome everyone, then why do they consistently rank with one of the best farm systems and they're pumping out talent? Hey, just
free agents.
Take a peek at that, because they don't get high
free
picks.
Agents. Nope.
Yeah, free agents.
Nope,
Right. Free agents
Yep.
are like prospects that grow on trees. Okay, got it. All right, let's get to an announcement. I'm excited about this one. We've been announcing a number of new shows joining the FT network. Here's one for you that we'd love you to press the subscribe button on if you're watching live on YouTube right now. Is this a great game or what? One of our favorite guests on FT, Tim Kurkjian, does a show with his son, Jeff. It is very popular, tons of downloads on the podcast platforms if you want to catch it there on Apple or Spotify. So go give them a little bit of love. They're joining the FT network. We'll bring them on very soon to formally announce it with them, but wanted to give them love as they're officially part of the squad. What does that mean? You get more of them. You get more of their shows. You get more of us bringing them on to our shows. Tim Kurkjian is a freaking gem. He's a legend. We're excited about it. I mean, look at the talent list, part of the FT network. We got Tim, and then we rudely interrupted Ken before. So we're going to go back to Ken to finish up right now.
We just saw an article of yours come out about Alec Bohm and the Phillies, the third baseman for the Phillies. There's free agent years where you're motivated to play better and you have a lot of things going for you that get you locked in the day. What has been the story with him and dealing with all these trade rumors? We know they tried to sign Bo Bichette. What can you tell us about this and how his mental game's been kind of keeping up with his game on the field at Phillies?
Jason, I found it really interesting talking to him. He says he was not bothered at all by any of this. It's been 2 off seasons of trade rumors for Alec Bohm, and he basically said he understands it's a business. He doesn't take it personally. He doesn't stress over it, doesn't sweat it. It only becomes a topic when people come up to him constantly and say, hey, man, where are you getting traded to? And to that, he said, I know as much as anyone reading on the internet. So the Bichette one was, I would say, the closest call yet for Alec Bohm. I can't imagine they would not have traded him if Bichette had indeed signed with the Phillies, but Bichette did not sign with the Phillies. So here's Alec Bohm back for more, his free agent year. And he's a guy that has been down on himself at times emotionally. You can see his frustration in his body language and just the way he conducts himself on the field. But he's gotten better with that, according to one of the Phillies coaches, Bobby Dickerson, the infield coach. And it just seems to me that his head is also in the right place. Here's a guy that he was a number 3 pick overall in the draft. I don't know that he's had the kind of career that a number 3 overall pick should have, but he's had a good career. And he's going to be batting cleanup most likely for the Phillies behind Turner, Schwarber, and Harper. He must be pretty good because he's going to be doing that. So he kind of is at a place where he knows where he's at. He gets it and he gets everything around him. And in his mind, he just wants to keep improving as a player. And obviously, as he gets closer to free agency, then the choices will come his way.
Does it seem like he would like to go back to the Phillies, or did it seem like when you talked about the last 2 off seasons, it's like, whew, I'm just going to be done with this organization because somebody was trying to get me out of here. Don't know who it was, but did it seem like he was open to a reunion?
I would imagine he's open to it. I actually didn't bring this up with him, Erik, but the reality of the situation for him is the Phillies have a prospect named Aiden Miller. They want him to play. And if Bichette had signed with the Phillies, the likely scenario is that Bichette would have played third for 1 year, then vacated third for Aiden Miller, and they would have moved Bichette to second, possibly traded Bryson Stott. There were a couple of different ways, of course, they could have gone. So the writing is on the wall, so to speak, for Alec Bohm in Philadelphia. I would guess he knows it, and that's okay. A lot of times, you guys hear this, you heard it in your careers early when you were in the minors. We hear it all the time. You're not just playing for your team, you're playing for the 29 others as well. And someone's going to take an Alec Bohm in free agency, and it'll all work out as it's supposed to work out. But I would be surprised if it worked out in Philadelphia. Shocked, actually.
Through the conversation that you had with him, did he feel like he was treated fairly through his entire time? Because early on it was about I hate this freaking place. Then it was his maturity towards the end of the season, getting benched for a playoff game. Does he feel like he was treated fairly?
He does not feel like he was treated unfairly. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
And the incident with I hate this place, that was something he owned right away after the game that night. And the next day, if you remember, he got a standing ovation. And the benching in 2024 in the division series, we didn't go through all of these incidents again, but that was because manager Rob Thompson wanted more energy, and he thought Edmundo Sosa would bring more energy. It seems to me that Bohm has learned from all of this, and as Dickerson said, he's kind of matured in many ways. So when he talked about the trade rumors in particular, he did not hold a grudge, and it just doesn't seem to me that he's the kind of guy that thinks like that. He's like, this is a business, and this is the way it goes in the game, and he understands that.
Now, Ken, you're at the Tigers camp today, right?
Yes.
What's going on over there? What can you tell us about that organization, how they're going to take the next step after the way they finished the last season?
Jason, there's a lot of excitement here.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of excitement in all 30 camps, but here they brought in Framber Valdez, they've brought back Justin Verlander, and they've got Kenley Jansen to anchor the bullpen. So as one of their people put it to me this morning, they have some adults in the room now. And it's not that they didn't before, but this was a very young team. And they needed, in my view, some veteran presence, that the type that they kind of brought in. So I expect them to be really good. They play, of course, in the AL Central. No disrespect, Jason, to your roots, but the AL
Choose
Central.
Your next words wisely, Ken. Choose your next words wisely.
Maybe not the strongest division. So they feel really good about their chances. And not only do they feel good about their chances of winning the division, but on paper, this is a team that you can see possibly getting to the World Series. And the reason I say that, actually, there are multiple reasons. One, the veterans I just mentioned, of course. Their starting pitching depth is pretty good, even with Troy Melton now being behind. They have Jackson Joe potentially coming back in August. And in addition to that depth, they have a depth of position talent that we're going to see most likely at some point with their rookie, Kevin McGonigal, who might be the number 2 prospect in the sport behind Konnor Griffin. He's going to be here. And Max Clark, he might be here too at some point. He's a top 10 prospect as well in the sport. So once that happens, then maybe they have a little bit more offensive oomph. And it's a team you still look at offensively and say, okay, it's pretty good. Riley Green, good player. Torkelson, all of that. But if they get the kind of injection of energy and talent and skill from a guy like McGonigal, that could transform them too. And that's why I'm pretty excited about them this year. They have a lot going on in good ways.
All right, Ken, you saved yourself. I was going to say, you need to name all the pitchers you just named and say, how many hits did they get last year? Because this team would still be playing in the final game of their season because they still haven't scored a run. And to me, if you're saying this organization has a possible influx of Max Clark and Kevin McGonigal to impact big league hitters, the issue of the last 2 seasons, yes, it's been offense, and yes, they made some strides early last year. It's been about more like immature at-bats, more like young at-bats. Do they have a plan to combat that since they spent zero money? And I don't include Gleyber Torres as any money. He was on the team last year, qualifying offer. But because they spent that, do they have a ability to change that narrative?
They do, and it would come from within. They feel that some of the younger players, Green is a good example, are going to continue to mature and evolve as hitters. And you would actually expect that of them, of course. But I can see, Erik, at the deadline, just kind of the scenario playing out the way you envision, which is they still need a bat. And maybe some of their young players, besides Green and Torkelson, maybe it's Cole Keith, who knows? Maybe they emerge. The guys who are in the big leagues already. Matt Vierling is back. He'll help. But in my view, they still need some kind of offensive elevation, put it that way. And now maybe it comes from McGonigal and or Clark. Maybe it comes at some point from an outside addition. They're going to see how that plays out, obviously. And then if they have to adjust at the deadline, then given what they've assembled here, they absolutely should.
Ken, enjoy your Florida camp tour. We will hear from you on Monday on Fair.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
That's Ken Rosenthal, FT Senior Insider and host of Fair Territory. Monday, fresh episode. Yesterday, fresh episode I encourage you to check out. There's more on the Konnor Griffin story. There's some Grill and Ken questions that I recommend you check out. It's part of the FT Network, Fair Territory, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you to Fastenal for engineering. Inside Scoop, Fastenal, industrial supplies, innovative solutions. Want to learn more? You can. Visit fastenal.com. Giants manager Tony Vitello is here. And Tony, it's great to have you on. We really appreciate the time. We really enjoyed our chat with you at the winter meetings. Looking forward to this one here. I have sources, so these guys are going to ask most of the questions, but I'm going to start the conversation like this. I heard you have the sickest house in Arizona, and that is total rock star status out there, and the players are freaking loving it.
Well, it's a good setup. The first year of doing this, there are a lot of people that want to join in the fun or, come to games and things like that. So I want to make sure I could accommodate anybody that's coming through town, but also make it a place where the coaches could come, or if certain, group of players wanted to come over, we could do that as well. So, but as of late, I've fallen into the spring training routine. It is very early to bed and very early to rise.
So what is your routine? This is you're told a spring training routine because this is it's your first year. So what is your routine? Have you avoided the nap?
Yes, I have. I have, fortunately. We got about everything you can imagine in the building for guys, snack-wise, energy drink, whatever it might be. And then there's just a lot of natural energy in the building. I think there's a lot of guys here who have an edge to them about, responding to last year, whether it be team or individual status, having a little bit better go of it this year. And then our coaching staff is unique. There's a lot of guys getting an opportunity that maybe they couldn't envision the year before. So the natural energy has helped for sure. But the routine, I say that, we're playing games every day. We got workouts every day. But because it is my first year, there is kind of still a feeling out process of, okay, when do we add in this meeting, or when do we accomplish this thing, or when do we address this? But it's been fun. It's been a fun set of trial and error circumstances.
All right, before we get to the team and all the goals and all that stuff, I texted your bench coach, Jace Tingler. I said, has Tony messed up at all this year? Because Jace, the first time he came to the team, he gave his laundry clip, to the GM of the team. So have you like put your foot in your mouth or like done like a rookie mistake here now in your first few weeks of being in spring training?
There's so much help. I don't know that I've been given the opportunity to screw up too bad, to be honest with you. And I'll illustrate that with one of my biggest mistakes is I went and bought my own scrubbing bubbles, put them in a certain area, and they were the next day they were gone. They took it away. I think they knew what I was scheming, trying to take care of my own deal right there. So I will say this at Tennessee, if we did anything well, we had a really unique culture of what stays in the locker, what goes on in the locker room stays in there, and we were just very open with each other. And I don't know if this group's ready for a couple of my jokes. They've either fallen on deaf ears or I've gotten looked at like you're not supposed to say that. But we'll loosen up as the year goes on.
Now, you just mentioned Tennessee, and I know you got a couple former players here, Drew Gilbert and Blade Tidwell and some other guys there. You might have already talked to them, so this is my first time getting to really meet you. How has that jump been from straight from college to pro ball? And do you kind of seek out guys that you're familiar with to lean on them a little bit for some questions or answers a little behind the scenes because it's a familiar face, or is it kind of business as usual and you don't want to treat anybody differently, I guess?
Yeah, I think Drew's Blade's a smart kid too, but it's a little easier with the everyday position guys to gather information. And Drew's been a great resource as a player at Tennessee, a player here during the process of, being a potential hire. And I think, I've leaned on him a little bit, but also when he's on the field, even when he was there in Knoxville, I've kind of always been harder on him than anybody else because he can handle it. Now, at times you got to back off because he's so hard on himself. But, the transition has been a little easier because of all the familiar faces. It's not just those two guys. There's several guys like Sam Hentges. I don't know if you ever played with Sam Hentges. Signed him at Arkansas. Knew him very well. Just a lot of other guys through recruiting or competition.
The first round pick from last year, right?
Sam's a little bit older.
But I think there was a Tennessee guy.
Yeah. Gavin Keelan.
There you
Gavin
go. There you go.
Keelan's
I
here.
just couldn't remember the name.
Maui Ahuna's here. So yeah, there's a lot of guys in the building that, it's made things a little bit easier.
Good.
And, it's also been painful too. We're playing opponents yesterday, Charlie Condon from Georgia and Jordan Beck from Tennessee, both combined to score the first run against us. So
I've seen this.
Yeah, it's been interesting. These guys are just older, smarter, and maybe even a little bit stronger.
Have you watched your old school? Have you watched the college baseball as it started, or is it something that you've been able to turn it off and focus solely on big league stuff?
Yeah, it's not an intentional, I'm only going to focus on this. It's just kind of organically happened that way. With again, I mentioned visitors, that'll be, sorry for a personal tangent, but it'll be important to say no at times during the season. I can already sense that. But with how many people have come to Scottsdale, visited, former Giants players, just getting to know all these people and also trying to do a quality job up here, I've had my hands full. So Coach Van Horn and I were going back and forth about something non-baseball, and I said, are you guys playing well? And I was like, oh, man, I hope I'm not saying that right after a day they lost or anything like that. I kind of had no idea how things were going for them. But I would think eventually, I'd be able to settle in and catch up a little bit on college ball.
All right. The game is based on superstars. You have a superstar in Rafael Devers. What kind of ability have you had to communicate with him, especially hearing, some of the stuff that happened in Boston last year, precipitating the fact that he got traded, was based around communication. How has that been for you communicating with one of your best players?
It's been comedic. I don't know if I'm a big stand-up comedy fan, and I know those guys have to work just as hard as actors or baseball players, and timing is really important. I don't know if he's doing it on purpose, but his timing is really good with some of the drop-ins he's got or the answers. And I know we're talking about a big O hitter, but comedy is literally the first thing that comes to mind. So when people are laughing, it makes it easier to get along and form a relationship or just communicate in general. But I think, kind of like I've learned, there's so much help around here when Wash is working with him on the infield. Hunter and OB have been with him in the cage a bunch. My job's been easy, just to get to know him and some of the other guys a little bit better. And if I see something that I think I can help him with, I'll give that input. But he's kind of shown an attitude like a lot of other guys of a desire for improvement in certain areas, and including defensively at first base, even on the bases. So I've just kind of been complimentary to the other coaches to this point, and I think, I've gotten along with him as well as, the other guys. And you don't have to go far to know that the guy's a great teammate. I said it the other day to the media, as Alex Bregman's probably got as good of a brain in this for this game as anybody. And I know he's a huge Rafi fan and vice versa.
Hey, Tony, I'm going to relate Rafi to another player on your squad, new to the party here, like you, Luis Arraez. So do you look at a player like Arraez, and I guess we can still talk about Devers here, and be like, what was I missing, right? The Red Sox did ultimately trade Devers away, and for Arraez, a lot of teams said no this offseason. So do you look at two guys like that, of course, and say, hey, I'm grateful they're on my side, but do you also question, like, why the heck were these guys, one traded as a superstar and one not looked at by many teams in the offseason?
Yeah, sorry to be Johnny College here, but recruiting is all about a match. And if there's any kids, watching, a lot of times you're looking for the shiniest object or the best sales pitch or who's got the best Nike uniforms or whatever it might be, or any brand uniform. And it's really more about match. Who do you vibe with? Where are you going to become the best version of yourself? So it's vice versa too. At Tennessee or other colleges or major league organizations, I think it's the same thing. Is what's the best place for you? And then again, college stuff, now it's NIL, but scholarship back in the day was you have to manage money and you have to manage your roster. So there's so many moving parts that go into a guy landing in an organization. And then also it's got to be a match for it to be the best thing for that organization and that player. And, I can only go off present experience. Arraez covers a lot of blind spots for us. And then also he brings a lot of intangibles every day to the park with his energy. I said it the other day to the media, and I was like, oh, man, I hope they know I was saying this as a positive. He kind of –
They don't.
They'll twist it.
They don't.
I've kind of sized up who's looking to twist things and who's willing to just listen. But that's another topic. He's like a walk-on out there, the way he plays the game. And I think you guys can relate to that and understand where I'm coming from because of your backgrounds.
I like that. Now, speaking of matches, we know you have a little connection and friendship going with Max Scherzer.
Yeah.
Does the match not fit? How hard did you try to get your friend to come in here and be on this staff and help you out a little bit?
Yeah, we never really crossed that line. I don't know if it's mutual respect or probably more my
business with pleasure.
Yeah, I would always joke with everyone, like they'd ask, and I'm like, it's not like I'm inviting this guy to a Halloween party, or a social event. It's again, it's got to be a match, and there's contracts and things involved. And I just know there was a really good go back and forth between he and the Blue Jays, and an immense appreciation for one another. It's not my business to say his deal, but he's pretty East Coast flavored right now with, both sets of parent or grandparents are there. They got 4 kids.
It's a match for him.
Yeah, it's a great match. So I'm happy for him. And the group chat smack talk has already started, but it's all very lighthearted.
All right, one of the things that new rules that Major League Baseball instituted this year is third and first base coaches have to stay in the boxes because of fear of pitch tipping. How much pitch tipping was going on or fear of pitch tipping was going on in college? Because I remember I didn't play at Division I level, but when I was in college, I heard Division I guys in summer ball talking about, we went into this place. They had a camera set up in the house across the street that was focused on the fingers of the catcher. Like, how much of that is still going on in college baseball?
Yeah, enough. One of the guys I mentioned earlier, his prowess on the field was being doubted, and is it technology or whatever? The guy can hit. But going back more specific to your question, I think it's like everything else in the big leagues. The players in college are really physical. These guys are a little more physical. The players in college now are more experienced. They've played more baseball. These guys are more. It was going on a ton in college. The technology there, because you've got college football fans paying good money for a 100,000 seat stadium, All the bells and whistles are there too, and the desire to win, and quite frankly, the kind of the cutthroat business it's become. It's like the big leagues in every category. It's just a little bit lower level because minor league teams have been taken away. I keep saying there should be a closer marriage between college and MLB because it's basically like low A baseball, or however you want to phrase it. It's a minor league feeder to Major League Baseball, and I say that with comfort because I think everything you see at the major league level, it's going on at college level, maybe just to a little bit lesser extent, and I think it applies to that as well.
Tony, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. I know it's busy out there, and you don't need to hear this from me, but I'm going to say it anyway. Keep being you. I'm loving, the way that you're doing media interviews and everything else. It's entertaining, it's fresh, and it's real. So thanks, man. Good luck this season. We'll chat with you at some point, all right?
Thank you guys so much. Sorry I got bad AirPod ears. My AirPods always pop out, so maybe I can get an NIL deal with them during the season if we win any games.
We can work on that for you. We'll collab on that one. Thanks, Tony.
All right. Appreciate y'all. Take care.
Kratz, I know you'd like this. Alex Bregman posts pretty frequently on Instagram. This wasn't the top post, like it's one of those carousels where you have to flip over, but this was one of them when he wrote baseball time, and I just thought it was very fitting. We talked to Bregman the other day. Great week of camps out in Arizona, and then, of course, at Giants camp today, and we just spoke to Tony Vitello, and he's talking about how Devers is such a great teammate, and Red Sox fans just feel like they're getting stabbed in the heart looking at this pic of Devers and Bregman dapping it up.
Too soon? I don't think so, but hey, you know what? It is what it is, right? But maybe he's not a good teammate. Maybe he's not a comedian. Maybe he doesn't communicate. Wait a minute. The story's not all matching up here.
Thank you. Yeah, just one little miscommunication, and all of a sudden, Devers is gone, Bregman's gone, whatever. Hey, Kip, Red Sox have a very good-looking starting rotation and pitching staff in general heading into this season, but it hurts.
I think where there's smoke, there's fire. I think there's a little truth to both sides of the stories, the ones that came out before when he was at Boston and the ones now when he's at San Francisco. I think finding the right setting, one that allows you to be happier, be in a better position, be in a better mindset, I think you're going to get a better version of someone then. So maybe I think it's a win-win for both organizations right now.
Yeah, those two had something to talk about, though. I will say that.
Yeah,
the Sox took some shots at Bregman on the way out. We tried to see if he had anything for us. It sounded like one of those, put it on ice. I'll give you more of the story at some point later on. But if you want to look at that Bregman interview, it's up on YouTube and wherever you get your pods too. The spring training tour continues in Florida. So now we've got our next few weeks down in what AJ calls God's country. Cardinals, Marlins, Mets, Nationals, and Astros for week 1. I mean, all you need to know is we're going everywhere in Florida besides Yankees camp. There's a story to that. Not sharing at the moment. We're running out of time here. Foul Territory engineered by Fastnall. That's the calendar you're looking at it, or if you're listening to us, then check out the calendar on our social media accounts. Speaking of which, Kratz, your former team, the Brewers, really light it up on socials because their team almost does a little bit of Hollywood action, and they also do a little bit of AI action. So did you see this little clip that they put together showing Miz chucking a baseball at an apple, and they posted, "This is terrifying." Now, a lot of people were actually angry about it because they said since it is AI, they're pissed that kids are going to look at this and try it at home. And someone even replied, "Don't show this to the Rockies if they've got some young wild arms. you might have a big liability on you."
There's several times where I hear, "Is this AI? There's no way. There's no way." I mean, hey, you know what? The Miz has been known for his control, not his velocity. Oh, wait a minute. It's the other way around.
Yeah, they would not do that. But Kip, are you okay with it? I mean,
it reminds me
They're
of
not the only ones using AI, you know?
No, it just I laugh because it reminds me of a Key and Peele skit, the basketball guy where he was giving a post-game interview, telling him, he's like, "Kids, you could do whatever you want, you could fly," and they're like, "Well, you can't actually really fly." He's like, "No, you can fly." He's like, "I had to learn the difference between what the term actually means versus what the term metaphorically means, and like a post follow-up. So it's a fun skit. So kids, do not throw a baseball at your friend with an apple on his head. Let's save that to the AI.
Thank you. There's your
if
disclaimer.
we needed to say it. Do not do that.
In case you needed that. If that's what parents needed out there, then Kip is your man. Kratz Hatz, what do you got?
Obby says the kids. Appreciate the Giants for today.
Beautiful. And I want to make sure everyone knows this. We said it earlier. The show time changes. This happens every spring training. There is a reason for this. We're going to be in Florida. If we had the show at 1, we wouldn't talk to anyone because they'd be playing a spring training game. So FT is live from 11 a.m. Eastern time to 1 p.m. until opening day. Again, I know some people on Monday are going to show up at 1 o'clock and be like, what? 11 a.m. up until 1. It's basically your pregame show for the Grapefruit League when games start generally at 1 o'clock around Florida. So check out that new show time. And what'd you say?
Set your alarm. You're going to, on Monday, your alarm's going to go off at 10:58 and you're going to be like, why did I set my alarm for 10:58 in the morning? And all of a sudden you're going to be like, I want to see Scott Braun's delicious biceps.
How about the delicious shirt today?
Heyo.
Hoochie smoochies.
Heyo.
Splash It Territory. Shop.com. Susan Slusser and FP Santangelo run it, and they do it well. Kip, great job. Fun day out there.
Thank you. I missed you guys. I'm always happy when I get to see you guys.
Yeah, let's hang soon. Kip in Arizona for Kratz in his hideaway space, and me in AJ's funhouse without AJ here. We'll see you next week. AJ will be running around Florida.
Jogging.
Yogging.
Yogging.